What if the only way to save your world was to join forces with the very beast you were born to destroy? A human warrior cuts off a dragon's arm in battle. But instead of finishing the fight, they forge an alliance so powerful it awakens ancient ships of living flame. As a dark enemy descends from the stars, their bond becomes the only hope left for survival. If you're new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and tell us where are you watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. The sky above the scorched valley was painted in smoke and ash. Fires flickered across the broken ridges. The wind carried the scent of burned metal and blood. Commander Alan Torek stood alone on the jagged rocks, his armor dented and dark with soot. In one hand, he held a blood-stained blade. In the other, a flare beacon waiting to signal victory. Before him lay the beast. The dragon's wing was torn. Its left arm had been severed at the shoulder. Glowing blood pooled beneath it, sinking into the earth. Its scales, once black and shining, now dulled and cracked. But its eyes still burned, bright, defiant. Alan approached with caution. Every step was measured. He had fought beasts before, but none like this one. Varric was not just another monster. He was a legend, a terror, the last of the Fireborn. They had fought for nearly an hour, skies cracked with flame and steel. Alan had lost half his squad. He had earned the right to strike the final blow, and yet he hesitated. Varric lifted his head, slow, heavy. His voice came out like thunder wrapped in gravel. "If you kill me now," he said, "you doom your people." Alan narrowed his eyes. "You destroyed 4 of our cities, burned our crops, hunted our children. Why should I listen to anything you say?" The dragon coughed smoke. It looked more like pain than pride. "Because something worse is coming," Varric said, "and your kind alone cannot stop it." Alan said nothing. He had heard lies before, from humans, from beasts, but something in Varric's voice sounded different. It was not a threat, it was fear. Varric tried to rise but collapsed. His strength was leaving him fast. "My kind fled long ago," he said. "I stayed, not to conquer, to warn." Alan lowered his blade slightly. "What is it?" he asked. "The Nullborn," Varric replied. "They come from the dark between stars. They consume life. Worlds fall silent where they pass. They do not speak. They do not reason. They only take." Alan shook his head. "We've never heard of them. Your stories mean nothing." "Because you look inward," Varric said. "But they are here. I saw the first signs weeks ago. Dead moons, hollow planets, energy vanishing from space itself." Alan took a step back. He looked to the horizon. The smoke seemed to shift. Not just from battle. Something colder was in the air. Distant. Wrong. "If this is true," Alan asked, "why come to me?" "Because you're the only one who fought me and lived." Varric said, "You understand battle. You understand sacrifice. The others would not listen. You might." The silence between them stretched long. Alan looked down at his hand. It was trembling. From adrenaline, from doubt. He sheathed his blade. "Why now?" he asked. "Why didn't you warn us before the bloodshed?" "Because your kind fears what it does not know," Varric said. "I needed to be sure you were worth saving." Alan stared at the wounded dragon. He thought of his fallen men, of the flames that had swallowed cities, of the faces of those who would never return. And yet, here he was, standing above the enemy, and hearing something deeper than rage, a plea. "If I help you," Alan said, "we will both be hunted. By my people, by yours." "Then let them hunt," Varric said. But if we do nothing, they won't live long enough to finish the chase. Alan reached into his pouch. He pulled out a signal flare. He lit it, but not in the red of victory. In blue. A signal for medical extraction, for unknown threat protocol, for a temporary ceasefire. The flare shot into the air and cracked the sky with cold light. Varric looked up and closed his eyes. Not in peace, not in trust, but in hope. Alan turned to him. You said they're coming soon. How much time do we have? Varric opened one eye. Days. Maybe less. Alan nodded. Then let's move. Behind them, the flare faded. The smoke kept rising. The war was not over, but something far worse was just beginning. A soldier and a dragon walked into the fire. Together, the gates of Bastion Prime stood like jagged teeth against the stormy sky. Steel towers loomed high above the rocky cliffs. Drones circled overhead. The last human stronghold was built for war, not peace. Commander Alan Torek walked through the outer checkpoint, blood still on his armor. Behind him, Varric limped under a heavy cloak. His wings were folded tight. His breath came in slow, sharp pulls. The wound where his arm had been cut still bled, but he kept walking. Guards watched with raised weapons, eyes wide with fear. Whispers moved quickly. Is that a dragon? Is it alive? Why is it here? Alan held up a hand. Stand down, he ordered. This one is under my command. No one spoke, but the silence was full of judgment. They passed through 3 more levels of security. Retinal scans, voice codes, weapon checks. Every soldier stared at Varric as if he were a bomb ready to explode. Inside the central command chamber, General Darren Salk waited. Tall, cold, his gray uniform spotless. Beside him stood Lara Venn, chief engineer and intelligence specialist. Commander Torek, Salk said, you bring a dragon into our base. Why? Alan stepped forward. Because he brought us news, he said, and if it's true, we're all in danger. Salk crossed his arms. We are always in danger. Dragons are part of that. Lara glanced at Varric with curiosity, not fear. What kind of news? Varric pulled back his hood. His scales gleamed under the cold light. Gasps echoed through the room. The Nullborn, he said. They are close, and if we do not act, this world will fall. Salk raised an eyebrow. I've never heard of this threat, he said. What proof do you have? Varric looked to Alan. Alan activated his wrist console and brought up a series of encrypted files. Satellite images. Energy. Dot. Missing colony signals. Void anomalies at the edge of human space. Lara's eyes widened. These readings, they're real, she said. I ran similar scans last week. I thought the system was malfunctioning. No, Varric said. It's not a glitch. It's the start. Salk walked toward Varric slowly. Why come to us now? He asked. Why not warn us years ago? Because your kind was not ready to listen, Varric replied. Your fear blocks your reason. The room grew tense. Alan broke the silence. We need to revive Project Thalor. Salk turned sharply. That program was shut down for a reason. Lara stepped in. Project Thalor combined dragon and human genetics to create hybrid ships, but it was unstable. We couldn't find the right pairing. You have now, Alan said. He and I can activate them. Salk stared hard at him. You're asking me to trust the same creature that turned 5 of our cities to ash. And I'm asking you to see what's bigger than revenge. If we wait, we die. Together. Lara looked between the 2 men, then to Varric. There may be another way, she said. The prototype seed vault was moved to Deep Sector 11. We never destroyed it. I can take you there. Solk looked furious. "This is a mistake," he said. "Dragons are not allies. They are killers." Varric stepped forward. "We all have blood on our hands, but this enemy will not care about our past." Solk turned and left without a word. Alan exhaled. The hard part was done. Now came the harder one. Lara led them down into the lower levels. Old corridors, dust and shadows. Lights flickered above cracked floors. They stopped at a massive sealed door marked with warning signs. Lara pressed her hand to the scanner. The door hissed open. Inside, pods lined the walls, silent, dormant, glowing faintly with pale light. "These are Thalor seeds," Lara said. "Half dragon, half machine. They were built to sync with both your species." Varric Wa, his eyes filled with memories. "They were meant for war," he said. "But maybe now they can save us." "How do we start them?" Alan asked. Lara hesitated. "They need a resonance bond. One human, one dragon, willing to share blood and thought." Alan and Varric looked at each other. There was no turning back. Lara prepared the chamber. Needles, scanners, safety protocols. Alan removed his glove. Varric lowered his head. Lara inserted the needle into their arms. The chamber hummed. Light filled the room as their blood merged inside the core. Images flashed. Alan saw fire, ancient skies, the fall of dragonkind. Varric saw steel, war cries, the fear in human hearts. But under it all was something deeper. Hope. The pods lit up. Softly, steadily. Lara's voice shook. "They're waking." Alan looked to Varric. "This is just the beginning." Varric nodded. "Then let's make it count." Outside, the sky rumbled. The silent embers had sparked, and the truth was rising. The chamber walls pulsed with faint light. Energy moved through wires and crystal veins. It felt alive, like the room itself was breathing. Alan Torek stood at the center, chest rising slowly. His armor had been removed. Sensors lined his skin. Across from him, Varric waited. His massive frame had been stabilized by support braces. His scales glowed dimly. His missing arm was wrapped in silver-threaded bandages. Between them, the resonance core hummed. Lara Venn checked the controls. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. "Once the process begins," she said, "you can't stop it. If either of you rejects the bond, the chamber will shut down. The energy backlash could kill you." Alan nodded. "We're ready," he said. Varric's eyes locked onto his. "We do this not for ourselves," he said, "but for those who cannot fight." Lara activated the system. The resonance core lit up. A ring of glowing plasma formed between Alan and Varric. Small drones moved in. Each carried a needle tipped with molecular collectors. One pierced Alan's arm. Another slid into Varric's side. Their blood was drawn at the same time. Red and gold swirled together in the chamber. The lights surged. The chamber dimmed. Then came the memories. Alan gasped. His mind flooded with images, mountains of ash, cities in flame. The roar of dragons flying over ruined fields. He saw Varric as a child, trained to fight, told to hate, punished for mercy. He saw the war from the other side. Varric staggered. His mind showed him machines marching, human soldiers crying out, civilians hiding in the dark, and Alan, younger, kneeling beside a fallen comrade. He felt the pain, the weight of command, the grief. Their thoughts overlapped. Past, fear, loss. But then something shifted. A spark, hope. Both saw the same thing. A world where fire and steel stood side by side. Where dragons flew above cities, not to destroy, but to defend. Where war was memory, not reality. The core pulsed brighter. Lara watched the screens. "They're synchronizing," she whispered. One by one, the Thalor seed pods responded. Lights blinked. Structures unfolded. Wings flexed for the first time in decades. "They're waking up," she said. But the process wasn't finished. A new signal flashed. "We need full resonance," she said. The system wants more. It needs a deeper link. Alan looked to Varric. "We go further," he said. Varric nodded. "We finish what we started." The chamber responded. Strands of energy wrapped around them. Blood turned into light. Their thoughts merged deeper. They no longer saw each other as separate. Human and dragon became one in will. Alarms blared. Power surged. Lara shielded her eyes. A shockwave burst from the core. The lights went dark. For a moment, all was silent. Then, the pods opened. 12 Thalor ships stood ready. Sleek, massive, glowing with merged energy. Each one was alive. Each one bore the mark of fire and code. Alan collapsed to one knee. Varric steadied him. Lara ran in. "You did it," she said. "They're online." Alan breathed slowly. "How long until they can fly?" 12 hours, she said. "But we need pilots." Varric looked around. "They'll answer the call. Once they see what we've done." Alarms sounded from the upper levels. Lara checked the feed. Satellites show movement at the edge of the system. Unknown vessels. Massive. Dozens. Alan stood. "The Nullborn," he said. Varric narrowed his eyes. "They are early." Lara looked at the ships. "We don't have enough ready. We need more time." Alan shook his head. "Then we make time." He turned to Varric. "Can we do this again? Wake more?" Varric paused. "Yes, but the cost will be." "Then we risk it." Lara stepped forward. "Wait," she said. "You don't need to die. The bond was successful. Maybe others can follow your path." Alan looked at her. "Find those who are willing, but if time runs out, we finish the rest ourselves." Outside, the sky darkened. The stars blinked one by one. The Nullborn were coming, but for the first time in history, humans and dragons were ready. Blood had once divided them. Now it was their greatest weapon. Hope had a new name, Thalor, and it was waking. The sky above Bastion Prime was no longer blue. It burned with shifting red clouds and streaks of white light. The stars had vanished behind the shimmer of incoming warships. The Nullborn had arrived. Alan Torek stood on the upper deck of the hangar bay. Beneath him, the 12 awakened Thalor ships were powering up. Each ship pulsed with merged energy from dragon and human blood. Their wings stretched wide, like ancient beasts reborn in steel. His eyes scanned the sky. He knew the Nullborn would not wait. They never did. Lara Venn ran diagnostics on the launch controls. The system was still adapting to the Thalor ships. The human technology struggled to keep up with the power inside them. "We've got 10 minutes before they breach orbit," she said. Alan nodded. "How many pilots do we have?" Lara looked down at her tablet. 7. All volunteers. 3 humans. 4 dragons. The rest are on their way. But they won't make it in time. Varric placed his claw on the hull of the nearest ship. 7 will fly, he said. 7 will burn bright. Alarms echoed through the base. Bastion Prime prepared for siege. Anti-air cannons turned toward the sky. Shield generators hummed louder. But everyone knew it wouldn't be enough. The Nullborn ships were massive. Black vessels with jagged edges. They consumed light. They carried no flags, no signals, only silence and destruction. Alan stepped into the cockpit of the lead Thalor unit. The interface responded instantly. It shaped itself around him. The ship recognized him. Varric took position inside his assigned vessel. His ship hummed low like a heartbeat. It was alive, ready. Lara opened the launch gates. "Launch sequence active," she said. "You're clear." The Thalor ships lifted off with a sound like thunder, swallowed by wind. They rose into the stormy sky, wings glowing with firelight. Trails of gold and red followed behind. For the first time, dragons and humans flew side by side inside one creation. The air above the planet turned violent. Missiles flew. The sky cracked. The first wave of nullborn drones descended. They looked like twisted stars, with sharp limbs and hollow cores. Their movement was fast, their energy dark and cold. Aelin's voice came through the shared comms. "We hold them here. This is our world." Varric added his voice. "And we bring the light." The Thalor ships split into formation. 7 lines of living flame tore through the sky. Each ship moved with thought, not command. They responded to emotion, to instinct. The first clash was sudden. Energy beams tore through the air. One Thalor ship dipped under the blast, then countered with a burst of plasma flame. A nullborn drone shattered. Another came in from behind. It pierced a human dragon ship's wing. The pilot screamed, but held the line. Alan's ship dove low. His mind fused with the machine. He became the fire. He launched a pulse that hit 3 targets at once. Lara watched from command. "They're outnumbered," she said, "but not outmatched." Down below, more Thalor seeds began to glow. The bond created by Alan and Varric had sparked something deeper. Resonance rippled through the vault. Lara called out on the intercom. "We need more pilots now. Bring in the next wave." Across the base, more humans and dragons stepped forward. Some still bleeding, some still doubting, but all ready. Above, the battle grew fiercer. The nullborn ships began to break formation. They reacted to the Thalor differently than expected. They pulled back, adjusted, evolved. Varric noticed it first. "They're adapting," he said. "They learn fast." Alan responded. "Then we strike faster." He led the squad in a spiral assault. The Thalor ships spun in unison, forming a helix of flame. The energy tore a hole in the lead nullborn cruiser. A blast of black fire poured from its core. 1 ship was gone, 6 remained. But the Thalor did not retreat. Instead, something changed. Their fire grew brighter. The blood bond deepened mid-flight. For the first time, the Thalor ships began to speak, not in words, but in memory. Every pilot saw flashes of the others, a mother holding her child, a dragon mourning its lost kin, a soldier burying a friend. Hope and pain flowed between them. Their bond became truth. The firelight they carried was not just power. It was history, it was forgiveness, and it was weaponized. Alan pushed forward. "We harvest the firelight," he said. "We burn for peace." The next strike was not aimed to kill. It was aimed to awaken. The Thalor ships combined their cores. They launched a united pulse toward the heart of the enemy fleet. The blast hit like a rising sun. One by one, nullborn ships began to fall. Not shattered, but stopped, disabled. Their dark engines shut down. The sky began to clear. Lara's voice came through the calm. "They're pulling back." Cheers broke through the command center. On the field, the remaining Thalor ships hovered in place, silent, glowing. Alan looked to the sky. "We're not finished," he said. Varric responded, "No, but we've begun, the Harv." And with it came a fire no shadow could ever extinguish.